And I'm sure that's true. So this framework of just 4 points, of course, there's a little bit more detail underneath them, is a really powerful framework to allow you to assess and teach the core basic tactics of tennis. Now, what I'm going to move on to next, I'm going to stop sharing that, is my presentation. That's just my opening slide. So, get rid of that. Hoping this will work. Here we go. Now, Ruben, just tell me that this comes up.
Yep, all good.
Okay. Okay, so this is a presentation that I've written with Louis Caillet, colleague of mine at the LTA, which is how we can develop tactics with players, I guess, once they get past that basic tactical stage, that they know when to rally, they know when to attack, they know when to defend. They can play high percentage shots, they don't play stupid tennis. They can recover and move well and get in the right place, stand in the middle, that kind of thing, be prepared. This is more around, okay, now you've got a good player you're working with and you want to really make sure they play the game smartly. So how do we do that? So there are 6 pillars or 6 components, 6 notions I want to present to you today. The first one is around, well, we have to develop the player themselves. So I'm hoping this is going to forward on. Yeah, there we go. And there are 4 areas I want to cover in the player's tactical development. Clearly, at some stage of a player's development, you want to try and expose them to different game styles because everyone plays the game slightly differently. And a lot of players are merging these game styles now, so it's becoming less clear than in olden times what you are. But I still think it's fair to say that these 5 game styles are pretty consistent across certainly under 18 and the transition into the tour and beyond. With younger players, they will explore these game styles and do different tactics of all of them, and I would encourage that. So what I'm going to share with you, first of all, is just an example, just one, of something tactical that an aggressive baseliner does maybe more frequently than a counterpuncher. They do more frequently than an all-court player, more frequently than a big server. So this is the first clip I want to show you. So you can see there from that clip that Maria Sharapova is clearly an aggressive baseliner. She really likes first strike tennis, impose her court position, impose a high tempo early on in the rally. And especially on the clay, that you often see aggressive baseliners do something called attack, attack, attack. It's the idea that one attacking shot is not enough anymore, especially if you're playing a counterpuncher who's got great court coverage skills. So we should teach our players to not finish the point. I don't like that phrase, finish the point. I prefer to say attack, attack, attack. Because if you finish the point, then you have to expect that it's over. And often it's not over. Often you need 1, 2, 3, 4 attacking shots in a row. And aggressive baseliners have the mentality that they attack, attack, attack. And that's something you have to develop at a young age.
No way. It's another point stolen by Alexander Duinol. Oh, this guy is special.
So on that clip, you clearly see someone that's a classic counterpuncher, moves incredibly quickly around the court, very difficult to hit past because he just moves and anticipates the ball incredibly well. And in that clip, tactically, what you see is someone that can stay in the point in extreme defense. Block, chip, just touch the ball and make it. Then you see him neutralizing when he's in a difficult position to try and make it more equal in the rally. And then you see him when he's on the full run, turning the point around, or perhaps you say counter-attacking. And those are 3 key skills to develop tactically with counter-punches. Staying in the point, neutralizing the point, and turning the point around, or counter-attacking. Let's move on to the next game style. game style of an all-court player. So Roger, who's changed his game style over time from being a net rusher, more of an aggressive baseliner, all-court player. So players don't stay in one game style. It's very common that they evolve through their career. But what you see here is someone that, and it's very common of someone that's an all-court player like Barty, that they really use the drop shot, often the one-handers even more. And in that clip, you can see that when you train players, you should train the drop shot from the baseline, from the three-quarter court, from the half court, the service line, and then also from the net. When someone hits a drop shot to you, you have to have the skills to do a drop shot back, or to do a lob volley by moving in after your drop shot. The next game style, big server. The reason why I chose this clip, that it's very common for a big server tactically to go for a more aggressive second serve. That's very different to a Rafael Nadal, who's an aggressive baseliner. Rafael Nadal may go for a big first serve, but will play much more carefully on a second serve. Now the big servers like Query and Ranic, Karlovic, these people, they'll go for more on their serves. They want some cheap points off their serve. So their percentage of points won on first serve is much higher. And therefore you need to develop the technique to match their game style preference, which is being a big server. And the last one, a net rusher. And there are very few net rushers in the game, as I think Misha Zverev might be the last one. And the females, it's almost no one. But we don't know what the future will hold. So maybe more net rushers will come back as the game develops. So therefore, the skills of being a net rusher, I still think are really good to teach young players. Fun, variation, for skillfulness. But here we go. So on that clip, what you saw was a net rusher who would be more likely to serve and volley, to chip charge, to drive on the return and come right away to the net. Clearly, those are important skills to develop if you want someone to close the net more, which happens on faster surfaces like grass or fast indoors. But then what I really like in that clip is something that to teach tactically is the idea of serve, volley, volley. It's a really important point to teach young players. Serve, volley, volley. What that means is that you hit your serve, you come to the midcourt, you play your first volley, and then you move forwards a little bit more and play your second volley. If people feel they have to hit a winning volley on the first shot, that's where they become too erratic. They lose control of their volleys, and they often get past or just make too many errors. So if we can teach our players the first volley with your legs, second volley with your hands. First volley with your legs, second volley with your hands. So let's move on to the next component, strengths. We have to help your player to develop strengths and not just execute the strength, but set up the strength. So for example, it's very common, especially in the men's game, to kick serve to the backhand, move around your forehand, move around your backhand, and then play an inside out or inside in forehand. So you set up the big forehand with a serve, or you set it up with a short angle slice. And in this clip, you're going to see Rafael Nadal set up his big, powerful forehand by hitting a moon ball to the backhand. So you watch how he really rips the ball with lots of spin, plays high into the backhand, and then that sets up his forehand to hit a forehand drive. So you set up with the moon ball, and then you attack with a drive. Let's watch this. Bit of a delay here, sorry. And again, what I like about this clip is that you see Rafa right away before Ferrer even hits the serve. Watch how he cheats his positioning because he wants a forehand on the return, which is much easier on the slower services. So watch again and really watch how he moves over their forehand. One thing I forgot to mention, maybe Ruben, you said it in the introduction, but I will send you the link of this presentation after what I presented today, and therefore you can watch all these clips in slow motion. So I will go fast, and you can take your time going through them again.